stay tuned because for the next 60 minutes, Motorsports Unlimited is on the air. Hi, I'm Jerry Bryant, and these are the lovely ladies of motorsports. And all this hour, we're going to have 60 minutes of action-packed excitement. All kinds of exciting things will happen. And we got the famous Bill Wildt, and we got all kinds of other good stuff that's happening all this hour. Motorsports Unlimited, 60 minutes of non-stop action. So let's go to the studio right now.
Thanks, Jerry, and hi, everybody. Welcome to the studio headquarters of Chicagoland's most watched, most talked about Access television series. I'm Bill Wildt, and this is the 1402nd edition of Motorsports Unlimited. By now, I hope everyone knows what's going on. For the past few weeks, we have been airing the 1401st edition of Motorsports Unlimited, titled Explanation, detailing the health challenges I've been dealing with for the past couple of years, culminating with a complicated and difficult multi-level fusion in my lower back. The surgery, as I'm sure I've explained until you're sick of hearing about it, involved two neurosurgeons, Dr. Yapur and Dr. Yang, operating on my back for 9 hours to remove 4 discs and replace them with cages. Well, they called them cages. They look like spacers to me. In any event, apparently the surgery was successful, and after 3 weeks in Resurrection Hospital, where the procedure was performed, I went home. I say apparently successful because I soon learned that complete recovery won't take place for 7 to 9 months. Of course, I was shocked. About a dozen years ago, I had open heart surgery, a quadruple bypass at Gottlieb Hospital. I sort of thought, without really thinking about it, that heart surgery was probably the worst surgery from which to recover. After all, they have to break open your rib cage, and you know what? Never mind. It gives me the creeps just to think about it. My point is, my recovery from that surgery was only 2 months. I'm sure part of that might have been because I was younger then. Still, 7 to 9 months. That's a long time. Here's the problem. The cages, or spacers as I call them, replaced the 4 discs they removed. By the way, these were all lower back lumbar discs that support most of one's body weight. The 5 vertebrae, the 4 discs separated, now have to grow bone between them and through the cages to complete the repair. In effect, these 5 vertebrae will become 1. I'm sure there will be some loss of flexibility when it becomes one lump, but that's not the problem. The problem is keeping this vertebrae, cages, and oh yeah, titanium rods on each side of the spine screwed in place in this area immobile. That's right, it has to be kept immobile. Anybody who has had a broken arm or leg knows how long it takes bone to grow. Worse, if you move anything, you may have to start all over, including the surgery. Unfortunately, there is no way for me to see the bone growth. All that can be done is to, when directed, go to the hospital, get a CT scan, then bring it to the neurosurgeon to see if there is progress and how much. I must tell you, I'm concerned about this. In 1975, when I suffered a compound fracture of my right leg during the junior main at the Beaver Dam, Wisconsin half-mile flat track motorcycle race, my leg was in a cast for a year and didn't heal. It means the bone didn't grow. They finally had to open it up again, take some bone from my hip, and perform a bone graft. 6 months later, it was healed and the cast removed. Now, I will admit, it was probably my fault. I was laid up for a long time, doing a lot of partying to pass the time. Even tried using a trials motorcycle in my yard to keep my upper body in shape for the following season. Yes, there was an occasional banging the cast that brought tears of pain in my eyes when it occurred. What I'm trying to say is, the lesson I learned was not to fool around when bones are trying to heal. They are sort of unforgiving. Yes, I had the one fall this time when I first got home from the hospital, but there really wasn't any pain involved, and I don't think I hurt anything. Other than that, I've been very careful. I know from experience not to take any chances. The problem is, it's really difficult to sit around doing nothing when there is so much to be done. In addition, I get little warnings from my body. I try hard not to bend or twist, but it's inevitable. I don't think I've hurt anything, but I can tell when my back is sore when it's time to go to bed, and I've been doing some minor things around the house. The thought comes to me, I don't think I should have been doing that. I'm talking about little things like putting tools away or trying to pull some shows to take to the cable companies. I don't feel anything when I'm doing it, but when the day is over, my body reminds me not to stress the area of the surgery. Even driving for any length of time aggravates the area. Inactivity for this length of time is difficult for me, and I find myself looking forward to appointments with Dr. Yampur to check the latest CT scan. I suppose I'm hoping he'll turn me loose so I can start taping Motorsports Unlimited again. One good thing I do have is a library of 1,400 programs on the shelf that I can pull, update if I'm up to it, and air again. I didn't have this luxury years ago, and surprisingly, people seem to enjoy the old shows. Heck, some weren't even alive when they aired the first time, and some of the older viewers enjoy seeing the early shows. One particular email I received said, "Bill, I wouldn't mind if you started with show 1 and aired everything again. I've been watching for a long time, and there are many that I'd like to see again." The next appointment I have with Dr. Yampur is August 27th, 2015. Keep your fingers crossed for me that he likes what he sees in the CT scan. Now, let's get started with today's episode. I don't know what I'm going to pick, but I do know that you'll enjoy it. Just remember, it was taped years ago, so don't get upset if I missed something I should have updated. I'll try to catch them all, and I'm going to ask Dr. Yampur about a fatigue problem that still seems to plague me. Perhaps my body, still repairing itself, drains my energy, but I find myself surprised when I attempt to do the simplest task requiring a little physical activity like rewiring the arrangement of my computer hard drives, and in a short time I'm exhausted. It's very strange. So, if I run out of gas before a show is completely checked and I miss something, forgive me. I'm doing as much as I can to get Motorsports Unlimited up and running normally. Let's see what I found.
I'm happy to be back here today at the Hansen Center, and we found some old friends of Motorsport Unlimited. They were here last year, and I'm going to let them reintroduce themselves. Hi, what is your name?
I'm John Weinberger,
And you're from?
Continental Autosports in Hinsdale.
Okay, and your name?
Lisa Weinberger, his other half.
Okay. Now, I found an unusual car here, and this is yours. Can you tell me about it?
I sure can. This is a 1952 Allard. It's made in England by a fellow by the name of Sidney Allard, and he built this car. It's made out of all aluminum, and built it for a gentleman's racer so you could drive it and also race it, and it won many, many races in the 50s.
And did you tell me the engine?
This is they made them with 3 engines. They originally made them with a Ford engine, a V8, and then later, as this one, they when they wanted to go faster, why then they put Cadillac V8s in them and Chrysler V8s. This is a Cadillac.
Okay.
Full race Cadillac engine.
And what year is this?
1952.
Okay. Now, Lisa, do you get to drive this at all?
I haven't driven this one, but I drove the 32 Ford Roadster over.
Do you guys trailer it here, or do you drive it here?
Drive it, definitely.
Oh, how could you not? I wouldn't let something like that sit in the garage or be afraid of it. Well, we're going to bring Bill in to get some more technical stuff here.
Did I hear that right? You drove this one in?
Oh, we drive all of our cars. They're not trailer queens, no.
You took an original Allard, for which there will never be another one on the face of this planet, and took the risk of driving it through intersections where some school bus might center punch you and it'll be gone forever. You took that risk.
Bill, you told me to come, so I mean, I don't have a trailer.
I am astonished that you actually drove it. Folks, I want to tell you something right now. He won't tell you this. This car is worth at least $100,000. This is big time stuff, and I can tell you, I remember this period very, very well. I went into high school in 1957, so about 1954, 55, and 56, I was getting a great interest in cars and all that, and I was just absolutely in love with the Cadillac Allards, and it seems so silly today when I look back, because if I remember correctly, the overhead valve Cadillac V8 that they used was 303 cubic inches. Am I close?
Yes, that's right.
303 cubic inches, and at that time, that seemed like a huge engine compared to the little flathead Fords and all that, right?
Yeah, it was a huge engine, and overhead valves, I mean, that was really big time, you know.
And 4 deuces, I mean, 4 two-barrel carburetors. Yeah. This was huge, and to put it in this light little body that wasn't, half the weight of a regular car, my buddies and myself, we just thought that was the most. It seems silly looking back now, doesn't it? How
ferocious is what it is. I mean, it was just like a man's, like a monster engine underneath a little light car. Yeah.
And that's actually precisely what it is. Now, how does the performance stand up by today's standards? You drive it now. Does it still feel as fast as we kind of used to thought it would used to be?
Yeah. The thing is, we know how to make the engines faster today than we knew then, and that's what this has, is a modified Cadillac engine with a high compression head and ISKI cam and 4 carburetors and balanced. And I mean, the technology is much better today than it was then. So we're probably getting 400 horsepower out of this car, and I mean, it'll accelerate with anything in this lot.
Well, these things are absolutely awesome. Chuck, show the audience the car. I want them. This is a treat, folks. Feast your eyes on this. You may never see another one in your lifetime. I haven't seen one in at least 30 years, maybe 35 years. Didn't think I'd ever see another one. What kind of a rear end did these things have?
This is a DD-owned rear end. It's kind of that floating rear end.
Right.
And,
they used to use it in Formula One cars back in the late 50s.
The original, that's where the original racing rear end, and that's the X in the J2X. This is a J2X, and this is the latest version of this car.
I'm going to tell you something. This is absolutely a treat. Again, Chuck, I don't want you to keep coming back to us because I want the audience to see this car. They are not going to have another chance for something like this. And while you're looking at the car, I want to make sure that we remind the audience of the story of John and his lady here. How did you guys meet in about 3 sentences?
He ran out of change at the tow booth, and I was riding. My car was right next to his, and I offered him 40 cents and gave him my car phone number.
And what happened after that? Where were you married?
We were married in the Illinois tow booth.
They went. It was made the papers and everything. They were married in a toll booth. It's a wonderful story. And Peggy, I think you had a question.
What kind of storage do you have in the car? Do you have a lot of storage? Is it very just in the seats?
Oh, you were asking about trunk space, things like that?
Trunk space.
Oh, storage? No, there's no storage in the Allard at all. Nothing. It's all gas tank back there. There's 40 gallons in the back, and you can carry a pair of gloves with you and a jacket inside the cockpit, but that's about it.
And a purse.
And a purse, yeah.
I remember your makeup bag from last year. Remember that one on the outside of your car? This is my makeup bag.
That's
That
right.
Well, the one thing.
Sculpted car I've ever seen, though. It's
Well,
gorgeous.
the one thing that the public should know about these is what these things really were is literally race cars. They reminded me a little bit of the Curtis cars, like a Curtis Indy car chassis.
Curtis Indy
You
car.
know what I'm talking
That's
about?
exactly right, like an old Indy Roadster.
That's exactly, and you had to kind of live the period. They're not going to understand what we're telling folks unless you're maybe our age. You'll remember, but this is what a treat to see this. And I want you to know something about John, by the way. John, of course, owns Continental Autosport, but I want you to know that this guy has an appetite for all different kinds of cars. Yes, this is his, and yes, it's just a wonderful antique kind of car. I'm amazed that he's driving it, but that's not his only interest in cars. Take a look over here. This is also his, and we've already had this on the show before, so we're not going to detail this car, but this happens to be a 1932 Ford Highboy, a regular traditional American hot rod. So you're not just into Ferraris and Lotuses and Allards and things like that. You apparently like everything.
No, I love hot rods. That's how I started, really, as a racing
Really?
at half day. Yeah.
I think of you as a Ferrari kind of guy.
Yeah, well, I became that. In 1952, I got involved with these kinds of cars, and I loved them more than the American muscle cars. But this is an American engine, and it's American driveline. It has a LaSalle gearbox in it. And
One could almost say the original Cobra.
yeah, that's kind of like an original Cobra. That's right, before its time.
Yes.
Is this kind of car hard to obtain, or was it really easy?
You mean back then or now?
Now.
Oh, impossible.
Well, they made 90 of them total.
How many are left?
Oh, probably there's 20, 30 of them. I've seen them at the racetracks, but the guys really take care of them and
hold on
hide
to 'em.
Hold on to them, yeah.
It just amazes me how there's only 90, and if you can get one of these, what a rare find and a beauty to keep.
That's what I say. I'm amazed that he actually drives the thing. In any event, we've got lots to show you today, folks. There was just some wonderful cars here, and the kinds of cars that we don't get a chance to see at any other car show except the Ray Graham Car Show. And I want you to know that this is an annual event every year. So mark your calendars next year to make sure you attend the Ray Graham Car Show, because this particular show attracts some cars, like John's collection, that we don't get to see at any of the other car shows. So it's really important that you come to this one. Now, can I put you to work one more time?
Sure.
You remember this. Step out here, please. I know how to frame up a beautiful Allard. Step right over here in front of the car like this, and look at our camera and say,
Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
first of all, folks, let me introduce you to my new best friend. What a terrific dog we've got here. How you doing, buddy? What's his name?
Riley.
Riley. It looks like you've seen a few years and a few meals.
Oh yeah, he's the guard dog and he never lets a meal go by.
Boy, I don't blame him. What a terrific dog, and these snowmobiles that are running around here don't seem to bother him a bit. First of all, let me tell our audience that we are at Frank's Marine in Whitewater, Wisconsin, although I have a feeling this isn't Whitewater.
Well, we're actually right out of Whitewater, about 5 miles, and we're out by the entrance to the state park.
Yes, as a matter of fact, even though we call this going to Whitewater, this is really not quite Whitewater, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. The first thing I want to do, though, is I want to thank Frank formally. He is another one of these wonderful people that owns these businesses that doesn't get anything out of it, that lets us use this facility to park our cars and trailers. Chuck, if you would, broaden your shot. You'll see down here we've got snowmobilers unloading their snowmobiles and all that and pulling in with their trailers and all that sort of thing. And I know that normally when I come here, I'm not sure I've ever met Frank, maybe talked to him once before. Normally I don't get here until midnight or so, and the place is totally dark, and it's okay with these guys to park your cars and trailers here, and I want to formally thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll tell you something, this is a wonderful place to go snowmobiling, and I want to explain for a moment, and as a matter of fact, I better do the polite thing first. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Frank Elreddo, been here my whole life and try to cater to the snowmobilers and the fishermen in the summer.
I was going to say, we started our camera shot on the boat side, and it was a little bit of a joke because there's no boats today.
Too many boats right now.
Interestingly enough, I'm not exactly sure why this is a marina because there's no water around here either.
Well, actually, you just go about 2 minutes up the road this way or 2 minutes down the road that way. You're at real nice boat launch facilities. And
what's the lake?
Whitewater Lake.
Oh, there's a lake called Whitewater.
Yeah, 640-acre lake.
All right, now we're going to get into it. First of all, when they brought me here today, I came down a totally different road. Every other time that I've been here, and it's usually been at night, Chuck, shoot your camera shot down here. I've come in on this road. Well, today, keep going, Chuck, all the way around because somehow they brought us in on that road, and I'm all twirled around. Tell me, from Chicago, coming up Route 12, how do we get here?
Coming up Route 12, you would go west on Highway A until you come to County Trunk P to the north, and we're basically only about 20 miles from the border.
Right, about 20-25 miles. It's not
Right.
that. It sounds real distant, but it really isn't that far. And this is another wonderful snowmobile area. And I want to tell you about the first night that we came out here. Somebody had told us about this place. We came up here, and you have to understand, it's pitch dark. It's at least 11:30 at night, might be closer to midnight, and we're right over there with our van. We're unloading our vans, and you can see our breath, the smoke, and it's a real eerie thing because it's so dark and all that. And here comes a group of snowmobilers that are apparently part of the snowmobile club here. What's the name of the club around here?
The Whitewater Snow Seekers.
And once again, we want to acknowledge these. Without the snowmobile clubs, we would not have a sport. These people are wonderful. Mark the trails, keep the
Good
trails
job.
grooved. Do you believe the work that they do?
Oh, it's a fantastic job.
I can think of nothing else in our society that guys that work as hard gets a little out of it and do it year after year after year. And mainly, all they ask of us is stay on the trails, right?
That's all they ask.
Stay on the trails.
And join a club.
And also join a club. Doesn't make any difference which one. These clubs all interact with each other. Make sure you remember the club. I don't care if you ever go to a meeting. Kind of help pay for the gas it takes to mark these trails. And then at the end, they have to give the landowners to give permission, give them a little party at the end of the year. They do the same thing up here?
Yeah, they do. It's a good thing for the landowners. Keeps them happy. It keeps everybody happy.
Absolutely, and that's the idea. We want this to work for everybody. But in any event, we're standing out here one night, and it's pitch dark, and the snowmobile club comes along, and they saw that we were new, and we were asking, where can you go? And Chuck, if you would, take your camera shot down the road here now, and I want you to follow. You can't see that it's yellow, but there's two signs with arrows on them going there, and you can see snowmobile tracks right. In fact, you see a snowmobile coming from that direction right now. And they said, well, you take that trail right down there, go down about a quarter of a mile, and make a right turn. Is that correct?
You can go right or left. The left trail is a club trail. It takes you out to Rice Lake and then to Whitewater Lake, and the trail to the right takes you up to the state forest, a place you've been lost before.
That's what I'm getting to. They told us and Chuck, I don't know if you can come in on the map here. Can you come in at all close on that? Can you see that at all? Okay, you see this area right up here where it looks like it's a little grainy, like it's little dots with a pencil or something. They call that Sherwood Forest, and these guys told us, they said, we're going to give you directions. You can pull back out, Chuck. We're going to give you directions. You go down here, make the right turn. It'll be a nice 45-minute trip to Whitewater, and then you can come back, and that'll make a nice trip for you tonight. But whatever you do, make all left turns. Don't get into that forest because you'll get lost at night. Well, it worked fine. We made all left turns like the man suggested, and we got to Whitewater, and we got some fuel and all that, and then we came back. I won't go through the whole story. It's a wonderful story. One of the guys broke down and all the rest of it, but we won't go through all that. But the point was, we thought we were making all right turns on the way back. Somehow we ended up in the forest. And I'm telling you, first of all, the reason I'm bringing you up here is because I want you to see this forest. This is beautiful, beautiful snowmobiling. But at night, there's no way out.
Well, it was an old abandoned subdivision, and it's like a Le Mans race course in there.
It's so much fun. Running in this thing is so much fun. You're going to really enjoy seeing this. That's why I wanted you to know about this area up here. But everybody says make sure you get the hang of it in the daylight before you try it at night.
It's a good idea.
You agree? A lot of people get lost in it?
Yes, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, they really do. A lot of people get divided. Well, one other point I want to mention here, and then we're going to get to, because we've got, Peggy, can you hold that for a minute? We got a lot of work here to do today. I want to mention that for one of the first times on Motorsports Unlimited, I am not wearing a tie, and I want to show you what I am wearing. I am proudly wearing my Toys for Tots sweatshirt. I'm going to tell you something. I'm sorry?
Jeans, Bill. I didn't recognize you.
Right. I'm wearing the Toys for Tots sweatshirt, and I'm wearing it proudly, and I'm doing it for a reason. I've come to learn, since we did the 2 shows with Toys for Tots, we did the parade and we did the party, and I've come to learn what wonderful, wonderful work these people do. It's absolutely incredible. It's not just a motorcycle parade. You have to understand it takes months to plan a parade with 15 to 18,000 motorcycles participating right through the streets of Chicago. But in addition to all that planning, when the parade is over, it's not over then. These guys break up into committees to wrap these thousands and thousands and thousands of presents, but they're still not done. After that, these things have to be distributed to nonprofit organizations, to people's private homes that have been identified as needing a helping hand, to make it possible for people to have a Christmas that wouldn't have had a Christmas. On Christmas Eve, I was invited to go down to Weiler's Children's Hospital in Chicago, way on the south side of Chicago, and guess what? The Toys for Tots Santa was arriving there by helicopter to bring toys for the kids. As a matter of fact, Chuck, you don't have to go after this. I want to put this little piece of tape in here right now so that just so you understand part of what happens to the toys that you folks donate. I'm not sure if the kids really knew what was going to come out of that helicopter, but as soon as they saw the red suit, boy, did they get excited. Now, this is just one of the ways that the Toys for Tots group distributes the gifts that are donated. They do it by truck, they do it by car, they do it by motorcycle. Remember, these are bikers. They do it by motorcycle too. That's right. Let's listen in.
Oh, look at here,
The entire hospital staff gets excited when the Toys for Tots group arrives because they know the look that it's going to bring to the kids' faces. Look at this now. There's the Toys for Tots Santa starting to distribute the gifts. This is really a wonderful, wonderful effort by just a terrific, terrific group of people, and I hope the entire city of Chicago supports these efforts. Pretty special, I'm sure you'd agree. Now you know why I'm so proud to wear the Toys for Tots sweatshirt. These people do a wonderful, wonderful job, and that was only one of the stops that the Toys for Tots Santa, that was Christmas Eve. That was only the one of the stops that he made on Christmas Eve. And it wasn't just Christmas Eve, it was all the days leading up to it since the parade and the party occurred and they'd gathered up all the toys. These people, if I ever ran into a group in my life that deserves some attaboys, it's the entire Toys for Tots bunch. Now, having gotten that out of the way, my question to you, Frank, is I've got 2 girls here now that have never ridden a snowmobile before, and I want to do a little thing like in a little small area to teach them the controls and all that. Is there someplace real close here we can do that? How about maybe on the other side of that tree, or is that a taboo?
That'd be fine.
That's okay over there?
Fine, sure.
Okay, once again, we want to thank, and you say there's another place that lets you park the cars and trailers if you're full.
Yeah, it's Salvo's Restaurant out on Highway 12.
You're calling it Salvo's, but you said White Horse before.
Salvo's White Horse.
Okay, what would be on the sign, White Horse? Or?
White Horse.
Okay, it's White Horse, Salvo's White Horse Restaurant, right. And it's on the other side of Whitewater?
Right. He's right off the trail also. He's got a big parking facility. He's real happy to have people come up, park.
Okay.
He's got motel options for them. So it's a one-shot deal there also.
Okay, so if Frank's Marine's parking lot is full, you know that there's another parking lot.
We should tell you, Frank's Marine is no longer there, but there are several other places in Whitewater that are snowmobile friendly. Just
ask. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get this done today, but because I want to show this showard for us, and it's a wonderful area to snowmobile. But if the girls are up for it and they get enthused about it, maybe we'll make the trip all the way to Whitewater and back then. It's about 45 minutes leisurely.
By sled, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 45 minutes.
About 45
You
minutes.
don't
but-
get lost.
Yeah, it was 3.5 hours for us, but trust me, it was a great deal of fun. Anyhow, Peggy, what do you think? We got to get these girls going?
Yes, we do. We have to get moving.
You look a little nippy.
It's cold.
Okay, Riley, buddy, I want to thank you for all the help in this interview. You've been a terrific sport, and folks, don't go away because the fun's just going to begin now.
I was really anxious to get on the trails, but first we had to teach Gloria and Susan how to ride.
Well, we're in Wisconsin. As we've explained, we're in Whitewater, Wisconsin, so we've got to be here for one of two reasons. Either we're going to go boating or we're going to go snowmobiling. Which one do you think it's going to be?
I want to go snowmobiling.
I think we're going to go snowmobiling because I don't think we have anything but ice out there for the boats, even though the Pegster is dying to go slalom skiing, right?
Yes, if you would let, or excuse me, my mouth is cold. If you were out there on a boat and you had an ice pick, you'd be making way for us to be on a boat right now in this weather. I know you, Bill.
Oh, exactly. Except we've got cool stuff. Snowmobiling is folks, we are so lucky in this area. Snowmobiling is every bit as cool as boating is, and it's just a matter of what season. Somebody had a question?
Don't give them any ideas, Peg. Next week hasn't come yet.
That's exactly. We haven't planned next week's show yet. Okay, what we are here to do right now, and Chuck, if you would, I want you to pan your shot down there and show where the trail goes. And we just explained to the audience that this great Sherwood Forest, as they call it, is down there maybe a quarter of a mile, and make a right turn and go another quarter of a mile or so, and we get into the forest, and it's very, very cool. But before we do that, we've got a couple of girls that don't know how to drive sleds, that have never ridden sleds before, and so we're going to give them a little lesson here. Gloria, if you would, pick up the helmet, please. All right. Snowmobiles are among the easiest vehicles there are to drive. Gloria, why don't you go ahead and sit right on it here. I'm going to run the controls through for you. Go right ahead. All right. The only thing you have to worry about on a snowmobile is obviously, watch your gloves, obviously you have to steer it, okay? They're not going to steer easy when they're sitting still because you got that long ski that's laying in the snow. So if you try to turn it, when they move, they turn much easier. The steering moves much easier. You also have this lever, which is the brake, and the thumb throttle. Very important. The brake and the thumb throttle. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now, what does that remind you of, Susan?
Jet ski.
Right. Well, you mean the personal watercraft.
Personal watercraft.
Right. Exactly. All right. It's almost the same, except the personal watercraft doesn't have a brake, obviously. All it has is the thumb throttle. Now, in order to start these, some of them have electric start, some of them have manual starts, most of them have manual starts. This one has a manual start. What we do is we turn the key on in this particular model, and I bet you can even start it, and give the starter a pull. Real hard pull. Go ahead. Well, that's not going to get it, I don't think. Okay. Yeah, can you get it or no? Want me to do it? She's going to try it. There we go. Okay, you don't have to do it quite that hard. Very good, very good. Now, I'm not going to have you put the helmet on right away because I want you to be able to hear me. So, Peggy, if you would, hold the helmet, please. Of course, you always wear a helmet on a snowmobile. Two reasons. Number one, it's cold, and the helmets keep you warm. Number two, they give you the eye protection. And number three, it's like a motorcycle. You fall off of one of these things, you can get hurt. You should always wear a helmet. What we're doing here, we're doing like 2 miles an hour, and I want them to be able to hear me. So go ahead and sit on the sled. Now the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and give it a little throttle, move forward a couple of feet, and then just let go of the throttle. All you have to worry about is the throttle. Give it a little throttle, and then when it moves, let go. Okay, now what you're doing, we've got you on powdered, very soft powdered snow, so the track spun, sunk down, caught something hard, and then bit. Do the same thing again. A little throttle, go a few feet, and stop. Don't worry about the brake. Okay, one more time. I hope I don't run out of microphone cable here. Are you getting the idea?
I got the idea. I'm ready to go.
No, I don't want you to go yet. I want you to go forward another couple of feet and stop. Good. Hold it there. Now, one more thing I want you to learn before I have you actually go anyplace, and don't veer too far over here because I want you to make a big turn. And I want you to have as much room to turn as possible. This time, go a couple feet and stop with the brake. Okay? Go ahead. Have you got the idea? Now I want you to make a nice easy turn. Now listen to me. A nice easy turn right here, right around. Take this path here, go behind Chuck, and come right over here. And then we're going to give Susan a chance. I'm out of mic cable. What do you want?
I can barely hear you. You want me to go behind Chuck?
Yes, behind Chuck. Okay, nice, soft, easy turn here, and I'm sure you can do it. Go ahead now. I think she's got it. That's the idea. She's trying to avoid that incline. She doesn't realize that's where the real fun is the inclines. But she'll learn. She'll learn. She'll learn. That's the idea. She'll learn. She'll learn. And you can come back over here, Chuck. I don't want to wind you around in a circle. That's okay. And she's coming back. Peggy, step out of the way. Grab the helmet, please. Step out of the way. Come on. Keep right on coming. Stop. Okay, any questions?
No,
Is it easy?
it's easy, just like the watercraft.
Just like the watercraft, very easy. Now if we can get Susan over here, we have Susan give a chance. Very nicely done, yes.
I do want to add, though, you might want to go a little slow before you get the hang of it.
Always
the hang
do
of
it.
And then
Always when, folks, this is Motorsports Unlimited. I can tell you about motorsports. There's lots of things I don't know about in this life, but motorsports I know about. Machines can hurt you. They can also be your friend. It's like fire. Fire can burn your house down. It can also heat your house. With motorsport, you have to use your head. So you start everything a little bit at a time and get the idea. Okay?
also when doing a turn, I had to go a little bit wider because I almost didn't make it around the turn.
Well, you don't know the fun part was going down in the ravine, but you don't know that yet. But that's okay.
I don't want to do that my first time just yet. I'm not that.
Okay, let's give Susan a chance now. Go ahead and step off. Go ahead. Susan, did you hear the instruction I gave?
No.
Okay. I want you to go forward about 2 feet. Just use the throttle. Go forward about 2 feet and let go of the throttle and stop. Okay, go ahead. Stop. Okay, let me get my mic cord here, folks. Okay, I want you to do that again, nice and easy.
Okay.
Just go nice and easy. Let go. Okay, how did that feel?
That's okay.
Okay, now when you go forward, I want you to stop using the brake.
Oh, this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, go a couple of feet and then use the brake. Go ahead.
Okay.
How does that feel?
It feels fine.
Try it one more time.
Okay.
Okay, I'm out of microphone cable now.
Kind of like a bicycle, Bill.
Okay, now what I want you to do is the same thing she did. Turn a little bit right so you can give yourself a nice turn. Make a nice soft turn, come all the way around and come back. Can you do that?
I think so. I'll try.
Go nice and carefully. I'm right here with you. Go ahead. Nice and easy. Easy. I got a feeling I'm going to have to give her a little hand because I don't think she's going to be able to make this turn here. I don't think so. I better go and help her.
Gotta go get her before she
I
gets
did
hurt.
very well. See, it didn't look like Susan had gone quite through my tracks. It would have been a little bit easier if she had followed my tracks and my path, because I almost just didn't make it also.
It is hard to turn the snowmobiles, and you have to really realize you have to watch how you turn. It is hard.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little difficult also. You have to take the turn a little bit easy, just like on the watercraft. Especially the first time. You know.
Look at this,
Here
Bill.
comes-
Bill, show off.
Here comes Bill. So
There goes a nice-
really done. These snowmobiles really look like they've been riding for a long time. Friendly ones too. As you can see, they got friendly snowmobilists out here.
Really nice. There seems to be a camaraderie in snowmobiling that contributes to the fun. Now, let's get back to Susan's lesson.
All right, Susan had a little trouble making the turn because she learned one of the first things that snowmobilers have to learn is they don't steer real good, do they?
No, it's really hard to make those turns. I got stuck there, Bill.
No, what you have to do is use your head. You always want to make as wide of a turn as possible with a snowmobile. Otherwise, you have to get off and drag the back end over or the front end over, and that's too much work. You learn after you drag them a few times not to do it. Now go ahead like I told you, swing around over there. Just go nice and easy. Nice and easy. Just go nice and easy. You know what you're doing. Go ahead. Keep going. timid about things. Come on, Susan. Come on, kid. He's very timid about things. Come on, Susan. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. And stop. Now, is that so hard?
Yes, but I did it!
Oh, it wasn't that hard at all. Anyway, folks, we got one more thing to do, and then we're going to get into this trails. I want you to have a look at this for us. It's really great. We got one more thing to do, and then we'll be on our way.
Actually, two things, Bill. You almost forgot to let us introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm Susan Russell.
I'm Peggy O'Donnell.
And I'm Gloria Walters.
Thank you, girls. Now, let's get back to the final thing Bill wanted to do.
Well, we're actually ready to get going now here, finally. It's quite an ordeal here today. Believe me, it's a lot more fun to go snowmobiling when you're not doing television. Am I right, Bruce?
Oh, absolutely, Bill. It's a chore doing this.
It's really a chore. It makes a chore out of it and everything. And our Sharp Eye viewers are going to recognize our AMA Director of Competition. Is that the appropriate title?
Dirt track manager.
Dirt track manager for the American Motorcyclists Association. And I understand you've got an announcement to make of a national going to be held here for the first time?
Yes, another brand new one in the state of Illinois at the Route 66 Speedway in Joliet, Illinois.
Remember, this material was originally taped 15 years ago. The motorcycle flat track races they are talking about were terrific, but they have already come and gone.
All right, Bill.
You got to see it. And by the way, tell the folks who you are, because I'm sure I didn't.
Bruce Bober.
Okay, this is my old friend Bruce. You've seen him on the program many, many times. Who you haven't seen on the program before, I don't think, is Joey. Have we had you on the program or not, Joey?
No.
Tell the folks who you are.
Joey Bober?
And you're the son.
Yes.
Okay, we've had his sister on the program. Do you know that?
Yes.
How many years ago?
I don't know.
It must be 10 years ago.
Easy 10. She's 15 now. I think she was like 4 or 5 when her and Tressa did it together.
We're going to have to get the two of them back on the show, and then we'll embarrass them and run a little clip, because we had little miniature costumes for them and everything. It was really cute. You know, they were only 4 years old at the time, and now they're grown-up women almost. And the last person that we haven't, I don't think, Don, have we had you on the show before or no?
No, not yet, Bill.
Okay, well, we have had him on the show. This is my friend Merlin's Muffler. You see, Merlin's Muffler is one of our underwriters all the time. This is you, but your real name is Don French.
That's correct.
And the reason I dragged him out here is this guy is hard. It's like pulling teeth to get him to come on camera. But look what he does for us all the time. These two snowmobiles, these two Yamaha 440s, these are his, and we've used them on our show probably a half a dozen times already, maybe more. These are extra sleds that you've got.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to use them whenever you need them for a show. It's just nice to see people get out and enjoy snowmobiling.
You're exactly right. Now, the question is, why do you have extra snowmobiles? I should say that in the back there, he's got a VMAX. Bruce has got in fact, they've got 3 VMAXs back there. Why do you have these older Yamahas?
Well, that's what you start out on a 440 and then work your way up from there, get into something a little bit faster, a little bit smoother riding. And don't lose the old ones, because you've got friends that want to go along. It's nice to have something for them to ride.
That's exactly my point. We've talked about this a lot. Nothing is any, I don't care if it's boating or racing or whatever it is, or going on an airplane, nothing is any fun by yourself. So this is wonderful when guys are in a position. I know I just got rid of all my old snowmobiles. At one time I had 9 snowmobiles. They're all older ones, but at least I could put people on sleds. It's pretty cool if you get your friends to go.
Sure is.
And usually they get hooked and then they get their own.
Hopefully they do.
Yeah, that's eventually what happens. Anyhow, Don, I want to publicly thank you. I appreciate it. He's made this available to us so many times. And one more thing I want to take care of, and then I promise you, we're going to get on the trail here and we're going to go. This, by the way, folks, is a television camera. Chuck, if you would come in on this thing. This is a little Sony High 8. I don't know if they call it a Handycam when it's a professional version, but it's what it is. Yeah, Handycam, High 8 Handycam. The footage that you saw earlier on the program that we shot in the van was shot with this little thing. Typically, when I do the program, we shoot everything on 3/4 inch. We don't have a shot of what our equipment looks like, but believe me, it's several times larger than this. The problem is I'm always disappointed when we do snowmobile shows that I can never really bring you in on the action and show you how great snowmobiling is, like the woods that we're going to go to, and I hope we get to the woods. Bruce, by the way, do you remember the woods that I'm talking about? Get over here. Do you remember that night?
Yes, we even talked about it on the way up here, Don and I, about losing our buddies out there and just having a good old time.
So you're going to avoid them like the plague today, right?
Oh, no.
No, we're going right to them.
We're going right to them.
We're going right to this. You're going to see this is a great set of woods. The problem is, with our big cumbersome equipment, we can't show you any of that. So today we're trying an experiment. We're going to take this along with a wireless mic. I don't know if the stuff will freeze up.
This was at least a decade before we acquired a high-tech digital helmet cam that changed everything. As you can see, Bill is excited about what they might be able to do with the much smaller television camera.
give up, yes.
Are you going to get a shot of Chuck with that big old clunky thing?
Now, how can I do that?
I'll hold the mic for you while you go ahead and videotape.
Oh, no, we're not ready to tape on this. We've got to put tape in it and all the rest of it. But in any event, folks, but good thought. Maybe I ought to show the people a picture of what it looks like for the full equipment. In any event, are you guys ready for Sherwood Forest?
I'm ready to go. You guys, they both got to ride at least a little bit. I've got that urge. I want to go. Yes, let's go.
Tell the folks.
Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. I was anxious to go. So, with Chuck, with the little camera, precariously seated backwards on Bill's sled, we were on our way.
All right, folks, we're off now. This is a bunch more work to do for television than it is when you go out just to enjoy yourself, trust me. Now we're traveling down that little piece of road until we get to the right-hand turn to turn into the trail to go to Sherwood Forest, where we tell everybody, don't go there at night until you've been there during the day, because you get lost forever. It is like a maze that you can't get out of, and it's huge, but it's also very, very cool. The interesting thing that we should tell our audience, this is an odd little studio location that we're working in here. As they look at this thing, to give them a perspective of size, that trailer is over 8 feet wide.
Proper.
So the boat is...
the boat's 19 foot 6 inches long.
And how wide?
And the widest part on it's about 6'7", I believe.
Okay, so it's really the trailer that prevented us from getting it through the doors into the regular studio and all that.
Right.
Okay. This is obviously where you come and put it. You know, I noticed something else too, and as we go in here and see a couple other guys dropping their boats in, some of the guys like yourself actually drove your boat away from that area. But a couple of guys had to be towed. Now, is that something that you can needle the other guys about? Or
No, what's going on is we're trying to cooperate with the police department and the park department.
Sure.
And they do get awful hot running them from the state park to the island. So some of the guys prefer to have it towed rather than drive it.
Oh, I see. Because what, the boats are just too fast or too loud?
They're so loud and they cost so much to maintain them and the fuel consumption on them.
Okay, now who is this dropping into the water? If I remember correctly, this is the woman competitor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Barbara Ann.
Barbara Ann?
Barbara Ann Bronzy from Melrose Park.
Is that right? She's from Melrose Park?
Right.
Because, boy, that's right in the neighborhood here, really.
And she owns and drives that boat.
Yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous piece of equipment. And if I recall correctly, she won that night.
Yep, she wins out there a lot. The boat runs real fast. She does a fine job driving it.
Okay, now that's an unsupercharged machine, though.
That's a single carbureted jet boat that we run out there.
Okay, well, I'm going to get into that a little bit when I talk to you on this thing. Why would one select a jet over a prop?
It's just what somebody would prefer rather than the other guy. I can't really tell you.
Now you run a jet.
I run a jet, and I like it's harder to make work as far as I'm concerned, and it's a more of a, what can I say?
Well, I've talked to a couple of people about it, and I was under the impression that you would get better acceleration if you were dealing with a prop. And for what the game that you're in, I would think that the prop would be very important then.
This is true, except for a jet.
By the way, before we go any further, maybe you can identify the black boat that this is in right now. Can't help but
and you can see we're going out with no weight, trying to keep in line with all the laws that we have at the park.
Sure.
That's Barbara Ann and her husband Skip.
Okay, and I think right after them is the black boat. I thought you might know the person. It says Custom Craft on the hull.
Okay, that was Joe Kennelly,
okay.
And he lives in Waukanda, Illinois.
All right. Yeah, I must say that it was obvious to me when I was up there that there was a great effort paid to not creating a wake. So obviously that's something that they must stay on you guys pretty good about, or something you just want to be responsible about.
Well, we do. We want to go by all the laws. We don't want any problems. We try to do everything to make everything safe and everybody happy.
Okay, this is the Joe...
This is Joe Kennelly. It's out of Waukanda, Illinois.
Okay, now how fast does a boat like that run compared to something like yours?
That boat will run about 100 miles an hour.
Okay,
and mine in a quarter mile,
right.
1,320 feet. Mine runs 146 and 1,340.
As a matter of fact, I understand you just did that this past weekend.
That's right.
And that's your best run thus far?
That's the best run we've had.
Okay, and where did you do that?
In North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina.
Okay, great, great. You also have an outboard class up at Blarney's Island.
That's right. These boys have to run as hard as all the rest of us. They don't make as much noise, but they sure put on a great show.
Well, you know, I'm kind of a two-stroke enthusiast, and I must say that it seems from the people that I talk to of late, these V8 and V6 high-performance two-strokes are starting to do a number on the car engine boats. Any truth to that, or not really?
Up there at the island, they run pretty close to the single carbureted jet boats.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They're real competitive.
And whose boat is this, by the way, as long as we...
I got in mind. That's John Koss's boat.
Beautiful piece of equipment. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful.
We're waiting here for the gentleman here to get the boat ready. In a few minutes, they'll be starting it up and we'll be talking to him. Right now we're standing in front of this gorgeous boat. We just heard it run. The guy was giving it a little bit of a test. Which one of you owns the boat?
I do. I do.
What's your name?
Howard Moist.
And are these the people that help you out on the boat as far as mechanics and like that?
Well, Jim drives the boat, and the fellows behind us here behind the tailgate of the truck is really part of the crew.
This gentleman's name is Jim what?
Jim Prevost.
Okay, how long have you guys been working together on the boats?
Oh, I've been in it about 22 years, and Jim, I think, has been in it about 7 or 8.
And I understand you have 3 boats. How can you do 3 boats?
It's called being short in the head.
What's the other boat that you have?
Well, we have what we consider a pro boat. We run it on a pro circuit. That basically involves 5 or 6 races a year, and they're all basically pretty much out of state. We call that boat, the name of the boat's the Last Hurrah. It's American Drag Boat Association. Like I say, it's a pro circuit. And as it stands right now, we're in the lead in the points for the season.
Fantastic. What would be the difference between this particular boat right here and what you refer to as a pro boat?
Well, this boat has a lot smaller engine in it. This is only 440 cubic inches, and it's an iron block. It's something that basically we build, shall we say, at home. The other motor, it's a Keith Black Chrysler. It's 540 cubic inches. And there's probably 20 to 25 miles an hour difference in top speed between the 2 boats, and a good 1.5 seconds, possibly 2 seconds in elapsed time in the quarter mile.
I noticed a couple of other guys unloading the boats into the water, and they didn't have a wing on their boat. Why do you have a wing on yours?
Well, this is considered a flat bottom, and some of the other
Would you please explain what that means?
Well, it's basically the bottom is flat. In other words...
As opposed to what?
As opposed to a tunnel bottom. You know.
Some of the boats are tunnel bottom boats?
That's correct. Plus, the other boats that went out earlier were jet boats. In other words, that the water pump propelled, where this is propeller, and they don't run the wing, the airfoil, to keep the back end in the water, such as we do.
Oh, I see. So that the rear wing is necessary for the type of boat that you have.
That's correct. Right.
How many people usually end up racing here on Thursday?
Well, it varies. A lot of it has to do with, of course, weather conditions. Sometimes we'll have good turnouts, and we'll get 35, 40, race boats out in one evening. And sometimes, if the weather's down, half the crew will decide to stay home. Maybe you'll only get 10 or 15.
Well, it must be hard, especially, this is a Thursday and everybody has to work, and, they all have to leave work to come and do this. How about it?
Understanding bosses. That's what it takes, really.
Do you own a boat?
Yes, I do.
What type of boat do you have?
Same class, blown alcohol flat bottom.
Where's your boat?
Sitting at home up on cinder blocks.
It's busted?
Well, no, it's a lot cheaper to drive for somebody else than it is to drive your own, to be honest.
So you'll be doing the driving then?
Yeah, I'm hired out purely as a driver. I campaigned my own boat till Howard asked me to drive his. And financial reasons also, we got to be pretty good friends too, and I enjoy driving for him.
Here, Sue.
I was just wondering then, I don't know if Chris had mentioned this question before, but is there different classes out there today, or?
Well, yeah, we kind of lump them into small classes due to the small turnout on boats. In a professional category, they'll have, I think, 18 different classes, and they'll put flat bottoms in one class, jets in another, and then hydros in others. And each one of those boats have different cubic inch limitations and blowers and fuel requirements. But out here, basically, with a small number of boats, we'll lump like all the blower boats into one class, which actually makes it kind of interesting, because then you'll have flat bottoms running jets, running hydros, and it's a lot different. But
is there any type of series or anything that this is part of, or is this just by itself?
No, the Blarney Island thing's pretty much all by itself. It's kind of unique in the country, and we're the only place that races every week in the country. And it's kind of neat. I mean, you can go all around the country, and they've heard about this place.
Do you have any sponsors?
Yeah, we need sponsors to help us. Really, our biggest one's Race Engineering out of Wooddale, Illinois. He takes care of all our motors for us, and a lot of good help from him on the boat, too. He's a lot of help to us. And as the owner, of course, is the next biggest sponsor. We got to mention Howard here. But you might ask him for more sponsors. I'm not real sure on that.
Are there any more beside that one?
Not really as such. It's pretty hard to really pick them up, mainly because the people don't feel that they're going to have the coverage or the attention that they do need, for the type of money that we would ask them, to sponsor us for a year's
Well,
period
that's why we're here. That's one of the reasons why we're here.
Good. Maybe we can get somebody hooked up.
We need help. Send money.
Well, thank you all very much for talking to us.
Okay, you're welcome.
You recognize the boat, and you're right. This makes a by run. He makes a run by himself.
Just to show you, this guy is from Wisconsin, and he's a deaf mute. So
Is that right?
Yeah, we have to really work with him to get him to go down the course. But as you can see, he does a fine job.
Boy, he sure does, and what an incredible achievement. The guy must have real determination,
Yeah, he's been up there for a couple years. We haven't seen him for a year or so, but he's back with a brand new boat, and here they come. They're getting ready. Now you're going to get a little bit of an optical illusion because you're on the island shooting on an angle. So that was a fair start. The flags are down.
John Pops to the inside wing, Joe Canal on the outside.
Right. One was just a dominating factor. I think it's Barbara Ann on the inside.
Wow, she drove by the other guy.
And Joe Canelli on the outside.
I think you're right. Held yourself till the end.
Well, that's what we do. Like I say, you always try to save what we consider the best to last. People like the noise and the excitement. And they love these boats too. Without these, we haven't got a show.
Oh, absolutely, because obviously a boat like yours, the cost is absolutely horrendous is the only word I can think of at the moment. Here's another run. Good start.
Good start. Barbara Ann's pulling away from him on the inside lane.
Yeah, she won that night. In fact, I think this was her final run, wasn't it?
Yes. There was only 3 boats, John Wazek and he's blown alcohol flat. Now that's a prop boat.
And as Christine asked in the earlier interview, he runs a wing, and he runs a wing because he's a prop. Do we understand it correctly?
Right, except there's Jimmy Prevost and me making a run. Jimmy got excited, got on that pedal. As you can see, he caught us almost in the end, though.
Yeah, he about ran you down. Now, that was your winning pass for the evening, right?
Right.
Okay.
The other boat that went out was John Wazek, and he broke.
With us right now is the announcer at Blarney's Island. First, you want to tell us your name?
Jim Marconi.
How long have you been the announcer out here?
Oh, I've been announcing off and on for 3 years.
I understand that you used to race the boats. How long ago?
Oh, we stopped racing in '84, but we used to race professionally all throughout the country.
Remember, what you're watching was shot 16 years ago. but they still has the races.
That's right, Luda. The Thursday night drag boat races at Blarney Island are still part of the fun on the chain of lakes.
Let's learn more.
The gentleman that called us tonight, or about tonight's races, is Ray Lambert. Lambert. He won tonight, right?
Yes. He wins a lot.
Is he really, really good?
He is great. Ray Lambert just finished up at a pro race. I think it was in St. Louis, and won a class running almost 150 miles an hour, which is extremely fast for a jet boat. Ray Lambert is very, very good. Yes, he is.
It sounds like it.
And this is the type of people that we have here at Blarney's Island that race. So it's very competitive.
Well, this is my first time here, and it was great.
Thank you so much, Jim, for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you.
You're welcome, and thank you for joining us at Blarney's Island. I hope you come back and see us again.
Oh, we will. It was great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody look up to the TV camera and give them a big smile.
Ray, what do you think?
You definitely caught the ambulance of Barney's Island.
Barney's Island. One more thing I do want to mention. I couldn't be more impressed with the medical community. I mentioned earlier, about a dozen years ago, I had a heart attack and was picked up by paramedics and taken to Gottlieb Hospital, where they determined what had happened to me and, after some tests, advised a heart bypass. Many years ago, before they did bypasses, my father passed away from his third and final heart attack at exactly the same age I was. Because of my family history, I agreed to the bypass, which turned out to be a quadruple bypass. That was a dozen years ago, and I still feel fine. I wish my father could have had a bypass. He might still be with us. He was a fine man. Certainly, I feel I owe my life to Gottlieb's doctors, and the cardiologist of the surgical team, Dr. Shanes, is still my cardiologist. Similarly, I am indebted to Drs. Yapur and Yang. Without them coming forward with their skill and talent, I have no doubt I would have spent the rest of my life in a wheelchair. I owe them more than I can ever repay. And that's what this closing note is about. There is no way one can repay people to whom they feel they owe their life. I gave this a great deal of thought after my quadruple bypass and successful recovery. I decided the only thing I could do is live my life in such a way that they would be proud, kind of to show their efforts were not wasted. In the end, that's all any of us can do. I don't know what it is that motivates people to spend more than a decade of their life in advanced schooling while I was chasing girls and racing motorcycles and cars, but I'm sure glad they do. And this latest surgery reminded me once again to publicly say, thank you.
This program made possible in part by support from ABC Auto Parts, located on Ashland Avenue at 138th Street in Blue Island, Illinois.
Motorsports Unlimited is produced by Bill Wildt, president of the Motorsport Advancement Crusade.
This program made possible in part by support from Jimmy's Red Hots, located on Grant Avenue and Pulaski Road in Chicago.
Motorsports Unlimited was created to raise public consciousness, understanding, and appreciation of the motorsport community and their activities. You can contact us by email at msutv.com or email us directly at msutv@aol.com. We enjoy hearing from our audience and encourage you to let us know what you think.
So that's it, another edition of Motorsports Unlimited and the lovely ladies of motorsports. And be with us next week because we'll have something real exciting. Bill Wildt's going to have the lovely ladies, and just about anything can happen right here on Motorsports Unlimited. Every week at this time, we bring you the best in motorsports. So be seeing ya. Bye-bye. And keep on rocking.